I can't believe I didn't go more on it when you said it, but we ended up going different directions. But I got to go back.
No, let's do it.
The Rodman tattoo. How does that come into existence? Like, how do you have a Dennis Rodman tattoo?
So my dad, both my parents are from Chicago originally. But then my dad, his family around middle school, their family moved up to Minocqua. So my family mostly stayed rooted there, but then my dad's parents got divorced. So my grandpa went back down to Chicago, and when my dad was in his 20s, went back down, was living with his dad for that period of time, and my parents met in Chicago in their 30s and whatnot. But so my dad was in his 20s when Michael Jordan was winning all their championships. So he went to so many games, was at the parades, like all the awesomeness of basketball, like when it was that. And so he would always tell me these stories. He has these awesome memorabilia that are like one of a kind things from people that he knew and people he would meet, because he worked at Maggiano's too, so he would meet a bunch of people. And so he would tell me all these stories, and I loved it. And I'm an old soul in every way, so like I just loved the nostalgia of it. And then The Last Dance came out, and we binge watched it together. And he would just continue to share these insights that like the Last Dance couldn't provide. It would give me a glimpse at it, and then he'd add on to it. So it was just this continued development that I loved of it. And Dennis Rodman in particular, talk about authentic. Yeah. Dude is himself. Like, he broke every barrier ever. Like, he just showed up as himself, and it made people think. Like, in a time that you didn't do shit like that, he was showing up with piercings in his face, the dyed hair, doing whack shit.
The wedding dress stuff was
my
classic.
God. Like, just so out of pocket that it just made people sit there, but you loved him. Like, you loved him, and he was a part of this really, masculine thing of basketball, and Michael Jordan and all of them winning their championships, and this icon of an amazing basketball player, and also the fact that, so I played volleyball. I was a libero my whole career. Defense, defense wins championships. And so he has absolutely no points ever, but rebounds. Like, he is just all over the place, diving into stands, like that passion and that drive and that I'm getting the ball no matter what. Yeah. That's how I played. Like, I would dive into the stands. I literally dove onto people when I played, and the passion that you see in that type of playing, I am such a passionate person that, like, I loved it. And then, I loved how weird he would show up. Like, what basketball player has dyed hair on the court? And it was just so always out of pocket and just authentic. And that's why I was like, I love it. It's my mom's. She hates the tattoo, to be honest. The other day I told her I actually am getting a tattoo removed that I don't love. And I was like, I'm getting my tattoo removed. I'm like, I'm sure you can guess which one. She's like, I have a feeling it won't be the one I'd like. But I was like, Dennis is staying there forever. Yeah.
That makes sense. Checks out. Yeah. He's certainly a fascinating human. I can't remember if it's from The Last Dance or a different documentary.
He has his own documentary. It was so good.
Yeah.
It was a 30-minute or
I feel like I watched that too. But I can't remember which one it's from. But either way, like, I like Phil Jackson. Like, he was a maestro with people, navigating. And there's this really funny thing about Michael's in it. I remember that part. So Dennis he's feeling stressed. He's feeling overwhelmed. And he's like, I need a vacation.
Goes to Vegas.
Yeah, and he goes to Vegas in the middle. And
in the midst of them.
Yeah, and playing. Then in the documentary, they cut to Michael.
Yeah.
And Michael's like, what?
Yeah.
You need a vacation.
Yeah.
But everybody let him go.
Yeah. And Michael had to go get him, though. Michael literally, did you get to the part where he's like, Michael had to go get him from Vegas, I think. Or like from his apartment or something. He had to go pick his ass up because he was drunk or hungover or something. And he's like, you're coming to practice. And Michael Jordan would say he could be out all night long and then literally go to practice and he would still like outrun other people.
Yeah. There's a cool story about Michael. Somebody was golfing with Michael and said that they had been golfing all day and Michael drank like 12 beers or whatever and they had a game that night and he bet him he was going to score so many points and then went out and did it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Such a different era. I
Seriously.
love it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I had I'm glad we got back there because I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Of how that goes. Is it his face?
No, not his face. It's
Okay.
it's more of like a kind of patch graphic tattoo of like his jersey, the back of the jersey up, so it says Rodman, and then like the top of his number with the stripes in red. And then I was very selective in which hair I chose.
Yeah, we have to be.
Right? Yes. So I always thought that it was the one that looks like cheetah print. It's cheetah print, and I always loved it the most. And then from The Last Dance, I found out that it was actually 33s sprayed all over his head because it was the night that Scottie Pippen came back to play from his injury. And I was like, oh, it's even cooler then. So that was one I chose.
Which is, I think that's one of the coolest parts about the Worm is that he like is wild and crazy and seemingly selfish at times. His stuff was like nobody around him ever says that stuff about him.
Yeah.
Nobody around him ever says that. They say that he's genuine and caring and like in that scenario, like he's supporting Scottie.
Right. And he made statements. Like he made statements with his hair in basketball. Like
which is,
you have to wear a uniform. I just love the fact of like in a space where you had to wear something specific. You have rules, you have these guidelines, you have this box that you are put in a way in that role. And he said, okay, where can I step outside of it though? Yep. And he said, okay, I can dye my hair, and would literally make statements with what he would put in his hair for a game in a time that didn't really happen, so I love that. Okay,
cool. Yeah, I don't know why, but the first place, like when you said you had a Dennis Rodman tattoo, I just imagined Dennis's face.
That would be hilarious, though. Just Dennis Rodman's face on the back of my arm. Oh my god!
And face tattoos are tough. So like, if somebody like would have not done like the greatest job, it would have been like, who is that? Is that Dennis?
Yeah. That's one thing I wouldn't do is a face tattoo, but it's like it's a little graphic artsy one, which is like the back of his head, but you know who it is.